Hi, I'm Dr. Haley Perlus, sports psychology and peak performance expert, here with a very important mental toughness moment. Fear is inevitable in sport and conditioning, at any level, in any sport, at any age. And in my experience consulting young athletes, fear of not measuring up is a biggie. Whether an athlete comes right out and says that they're afraid of coming last, or afraid of so-and-so beating me, or afraid of just not measuring up, or whether they can't label it, but they're doing things, putting themselves at a disadvantage, or trying to manipulate the environment, almost cheating in essence, so that they don't lose or they don't stand out. Those signs to me is the same thing. It's fear of not measuring up. And instead of helping these athletes completely eliminate the fear, don't want to do that. I don't even know if I could, because it is a realistic fear. What I like to do is help those athletes cope with those fears. And one of the things I do to help them cope with the fear of not measuring up is play the fear out. Go through that scenario. Talk about their worst fears. So if an athlete comes to me and let's say we're doing some sprinting, and they're afraid that they're going to be last and they're going to be the slowest. We talk about it. Okay, so how are you going to feel when you're the slowest? Let's say that happens. What if that does happen? And then they say that they're going to be upset and they're going to lose confidence and they're going to be embarrassed. And then we say, okay, and then how do you think you can get over that? So I'm not telling them that they're not going to feel that way and it doesn't matter, no big deal, nobody cares. Okay, I'm not going to say that, because in their heart of hearts, they care and it does matter. So I'm going to ask them to play it out, and I'm going to help them become aware of those feelings, but then also learn that those feelings are feelings that they can work through. So that's the first question. What's going to happen if that fear comes true? The second question that I ask when it's about fear of not measuring up is I ask them, when was the last time, or do they remember all of their teammates or all of their friends? Do you remember all of their poor or worst performances? Do you remember every athlete who lifted the lightest weight, or who ran the slowest, or who was tagged the last, or who was slowest to climb up a rope? Do you remember every single athlete? I'm sure you remember a little bit, a few here and there, but do you remember every single one? And most often they'll say, no, I don't. And then even for the athletes that they do remember, for their teammates who couldn't get up the rope, for example, how did you feel about them? Well, I felt sad for them, but then I moved on and I don't think about it again. So that second question, how did you feel when you witnessed your friends not doing well and not measuring up? And then they realized that, they remembered a bit, but it didn't really matter in the long run. Now they're starting to come to terms with what you want to tell them, which is it's no big deal. They're now allowed to come up with that conclusion on their own. So just a quick recap. That first question is, let's play it out. What's the worst thing that would happen to you? And then the second question is, do you remember all of your friends' poor performances, and how did you react to them? And then the third, not really a question, but the third call to action is to turn their fears into challenges. So if they're afraid of sprinting and coming last, we get them to tune that fear out by replacing it with a specific action step that they can focus on. Focus on their stride, focus on their breath. As their conditioning coach and as their sport coach, give them one technical cue, one short-term goal, if you will, that that they can accomplish. So it takes the focus away from the social comparison and the fear and brings them into personal accomplishments. So just a quick recap. I know I'm saying it again, but repetition is the mother of all learning. Number one is play the scenario out. What's the worst thing that can happen if your fear comes true? Number two, do you remember all of the poor performances of your teammates, of your athletes? And how did you feel about your friends when they didn't do so well? And then the third is turn their fears into challenges with a personal achievement, with some type of technical or tactical goal that they can accomplish right then and there. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, leave them at the bottom of this email or in the comment space, and I will get back to each and every comment. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.